Celtics are trying to obviously get where you guys are. Do you see them being at that point yet?
No. No, it takes a lot of basketball to get there. But we have a good, young, hungry team, and they're on an incredible streak right now, so you got to give them credit. But, I mean, they have a better record than us, so you can say they're better than us right now.
Klay, don't think I'm asking a weird question, but do you still want to play ping pong with Roger Federer?
Absolutely. No question.
You guys weren't doing down the stretch there.
He got to the free throw line, beat me on a backdoor play, inexcusable. I guess I can't foul. I gotta get more. I gotta give him more space when he drives, I guess, you know. So that's what I'll do next time.
Is there anything in particular you feel like scheme-wise Brad Stevens did?
Would you have wanted to tell President Trump, and what would you hope the effect of your words would have?
That whole invite to the White House, uninvited to the White House thing was a bit much. I'm not sure where we were going to go anyway. But if we were to go, like, I think there would have been more of a conversation of trying to get him to understand, you know, number one, where, you know, the way some of the things that he had said up until that point affects people. You know, how that may affect us, how it may affect our family, how it may affect just the community in general, how it affects our country. And that's where, you know, like we've all spoken about using our platform, that's where kind of using our platform, we would be more so going just talking as the people, you know, and in the way that these things affect everyone. You know, it's not that, you know, hey, like you offended me, like, you know, you may have offended a bunch of Americans. And so just trying to really share that message, you know, more so than anything, if we were going to go, it would have been to, you know, kind of have those types of conversations. Possibly have, you know, conversations about education and different things like of that nature. One thing I will say is it definitely wouldn't have been the typical White House visit. You know, of us, you know, a team in the championship going there. You see him on the podium, it's all laughs and, you know, smiles and handshakes and pictures and tours. It wouldn't have been that visit for sure. So I don't know if that's good or bad. We weren't invited, but it wouldn't have been your typical visit from the past. To turn on the TV and see what happened in Charlottesville. He'll never have that feeling. So when I say, hey, maybe we shouldn't use that word, to be honest, I really don't expect him to understand where I'm coming from, because he'll never feel what I feel when I turn on the TV and see however many people, you know, taken down by the KKK or you know, whatever group it was. Like, he'll never know that feeling that I have about that. And so I think it's more so trying, and like I said, you can try to understand it, and he still will never understand it quite to the degree that I do. Just, for instance, if there's someone who's Jewish and they may feel a certain way about Germans, I'll never know that feeling, because it's not me. Now I can sympathize with them, and I can say, man, I feel bad for them, but I'll never know deeply how that really feels. And so I think that's the most important thing, is just understanding that it's not, you know, to take a shot at, you know, the owner of these entities. It's more so trying to help spark change, to help others that may be similar to me. And because they, you know, he may feel the same way I feel because he's African American. But as much as Bob may sympathize with me, and Bob will even say it himself, I can't really say how you feel with that. So it's kind of hard to speak out and say, that's wrong and you can't feel that way and you should, like, I can own equity and I can do this. And you're dead wrong for saying that, but you can't say I'm dead wrong because you really don't know how it feels to turn on that TV and see a young black man shot by a police officer who was unarmed. He was unarmed. You would never get that feeling. So it's hard to say I'm wrong when you don't have that. The fact of the matter is, and I'll say Mark Cuban because he's the one who came out and said, the things he said, and I wasn't going to get in, to a back and forth with Mark Cuban. Like that's because that wasn't my whole point. My point wasn't to get in a back and forth with anyone. My point was to just start a conversation that may need to be had. And so when you look at Mark Cuban, for instance, with the whole equity thing and different sorts, we all can own equity and that's fine, but Mark Cuban would never know or understand how it feels for me, a young black African American, to turn on the TV and see what happened in Charlottesville. He'll never have that feeling. So when I say, hey, maybe we shouldn't use that word, to be honest, I really don't expect him to understand where I'm coming from because he'll never feel what I feel when I turn on the TV and see however many people, taken down by the KKK or whatever group it was. Like, he'll never know that feeling that I have about that. And so I think it's more so trying, and like I said, you can try to understand it, and he still will never understand it quite to the degree that I do. Just, for instance, if there's someone who's Jewish and they may feel a certain way about Germans, I'll never know that feeling because it's not me. Now I can sympathize with them, and I can say, man, I feel bad for them, but I'll never know deeply how that really feels. And so I think that's the most important thing is just understanding that it's not, to take a shot at, the owner of these entities. It's more so trying to help spark change to help others that may be similar to me. And because they, he may feel the same way I feel. We all have faults, but I just mean, it's not necessarily, like I said, he's just not afraid to speak out on things that touch him. And then the way this team is built, with Steph Curry being the face of our franchise, who's a guy who's not afraid to speak out on things that he believes. And you look at the rest of the team with Kevin, myself, Andre, Klay, we're all guys, number one, thoughtful guys. We're all guys who like to educate ourselves in different areas. It's, if you walk in our locker room, I'm not sure you hear the most typical conversation that you may hear in any other locker room. You're going to walk in, you're going to hear about politics, you're going to hear about tech, you're going to hear about real estate. Like it's a different locker room. And so I think it really starts with, the type of guys that we have. And, we're not just basketball players. That's what we do, that's our job, that's what we do for a living. But it doesn't make up the person. It doesn't make up Steph Curry the person. It doesn't make up Andre the person. It doesn't make up me the person. We're much broader than that. And so like I said, we educate ourselves on different topics, and if we feel a certain way about certain topics, then we will use our platform to kind of speak out on those topics. And that's pretty much, all it is. It's just more so us just educating ourselves and then using that platform to help educate others.
So